You know what it is, Adisa Banjoko, peace to the planet. I am in Leeds. I'm out of London. Know what I mean, I'm in Leeds right now, having a great time. It's been a very introspective trip. It's been a very peaceful trip. And like, I'm not gonna lie and act like my life is hella stressful and da da da, but I do be having my problems, right? We all do. Um, but really, this trip for me, outside of, coming here to be with people I love and my extended family and friends, like I just needed to be still. You ever need to just be still, right? Like not commuting, not going from this place to that, not planning a da, 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 da. I just needed to be still. Yoga on, meditation on, prayer on, right? And I'm just feeling really good, really happy. Um, I got to hang out with my brother Ben down at Roger Gracie in Hammersmith in London. Got to meet just so many amazing people. Brief interaction with Roger, brief interaction with Mauricio. And, it doesn't get much better than that, just in case you're wondering. And that was great. And, you know, leaving that class, I had so much to think about. It just, not only was the general experience beautiful, and you must go, if you come to London, you don't go, you're kind of going out. Um, it just set my mind on fire about my journey in jiu-jitsu. And if only a few days before that, I had went to Black Lab Jiu-Jitsu in London and done a mini iron hook seminar. And that was off the chain in its own right. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to Professor Stefan Zoll, who, look, again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I just wouldn't be in the UK if it wasn't for him. I would never be doing none of this. But today I got to go visit with Professor Khalil from Gracie Baja Appley Bridge, right, where him and Professor Lewis run everything. And it's always such a good experience. You hear that siren? You thought it was soft out here in Leeds? You can get it too, homie. You can get it too. But yeah, just having a great time. They had an open mat today, and I saw some of my old friends. And Professor Khalil is always, he's just like so friendly and so wise, And after that, we went to Juma, and after that, hooked up with the homie Farouk, and after that, went to Rand a coffee on Street Lane and kicked it with my boy Robbo, and it's just good. But you know, so much about what I do. Is about knowledge, right? And the acquisition of knowledge, the enaction of knowledge, right? Because the Stoics taught like, the purpose of knowledge is not knowledge, it is action, right? To be different. And I started thinking about, if I want to be a better student of jujitsu and if I want to be a better teacher of jujitsu, like like what have been the books that got me where I am, and what books do I recommend? What I want if I was new. So this is the book list. All right. Tragically, I don't actually have any of the books with me, like physically, right? But let's run this straight, okay? And I'm also gonna say, because I know a lot of jujitsu authors, and I too am a jujitsu author. In fact, my book that deals with jujitsu, I've written a new one, by the way, but the book that I wrote on jujitsu, don't buy it. If you DM me on Instagram, I will send you a free link to the PDF of my book called Bobby Bruce and the Bronx: The Secrets of Hip Hop Chess. I will send that to you for free. Um, and I hope you like it. If you're coming from the jujitsu world straight up, just go straight to page 66 and just read that section. But I think you'll enjoy the book, right? It's got some mistakes in there, but I'm just not interested in selling it. I'm interested in sharing it. So if you want the PDF, you can hit me. But here is my list. My point is there's tons of really great books in jiu-jitsu. I was really heartbroken. One of the saddest moments of this year was I asked my students, adults, how many of you read books about jiu-jitsu? And almost none of them do. And that's an unfathomable thing, mainly because I started doing jujitsu before the enactment of this thing called YouTube and other stuff like that. But really, you should be reading about jujitsu. You should be reading about the history of jujitsu. You should be reading about the movements of jujitsu. I know every time you get on Instagram, TikTok, and this other stuff, you can step in and there's this new viral move, and everybody, man, you have no idea how much you don't know because you won't be patient enough to read a book. You have no idea. So here are my top 10. But next week, it could be a different top 10. So if I know you, if you're a jujitsu author and your book isn't on here, please don't hit me up being upset because I promise you tomorrow, your book would probably be number one. Right. And I'm serious about that. There's a lot of beautiful information on jujitsu that a lot of people don't have. And this is where I think you should start. And this is definitely like this is kind of roughly in order, but starting anywhere is a great start. And also, if you are uh, a man of these times, but any human in these times, you should be reading these books anyway. You should be reading about war anyway, even if you don't plan to be a warrior. I ain't no warrior, but I like to read about war. It's beautiful. Anyway, here we go. We'll get to the list. One, On Jiu-Jitsu by Chris Matakis. Masterpiece. What a book. What a book. It's so good. Um, the book is like, one of the things when you get into jujitsu, you're just kind of like getting beat up, getting beat up, and getting beat up. And you just keep coming back and getting beat up. And it's hard to make sense of why you're doing it. It is. It's hard to make sense of why you're doing it. So this book is going to help you figure out your why. I talk to a lot of people, and I've talked a little bit, I've written about this before and spoken about it before, that a lot of times people come to jujitsu for very different reasons. And if you know why, specifically for instructors, if you don't know why this person decided to come through the door, you won't know how to teach them well, and you won't understand how they act when they're on the mat if you don't know their why. And if you don't know your own why as a student, what you're doing can become very bonkers. So Chris Matakis, Matakas, has written several amazing books on jiu-jitsu, and On Jiu-Jitsu is a great place to start. Number two, 5 Rules for White Belts. I read this not long after I got my black belt and wish that I had this book when I was a white belt. 5 Rules for White Belts. I don't care what belt rank you are, you need that book. Same author. Breathe by Rickson Gracie. If you don't already know, Rickson is spelled with an R, Rickson, Gracie. Incredible. He's like the Bruce Lee of jiu-jitsu. And I mean that with because I know he's not an actor, and that's kind of my point. Like he's the guy that made you believe jiu-jitsu was incredible, even before Royce, right? Even though most people saw Royce first because of the UFC. And shout out to Royce forever, but Rickson, Breathe, must read. 4, this is a important book on the history here that you should have. The Rise and Evolution of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu by Robert Drysdale. If you're talking about the history and the culture, you shouldn't start anywhere else. If that's what you're trying to really understand, and you should, because it's really sad how people will come in and they do jiu-jitsu. They don't even know who Royce Gracie is. You don't know who Royce Gracie is? Frightening. They don't even know who Rickson is. They don't even know Alio. What? And I mean, I guess it's grown so fast, and that's a great thing. But one of the downsides of the speed in which the sport has grown is the lack of authentic history and culture people know about what they say they love. It's really frightening. And beyond that, whether you know jujitsu or not, whatever you do, you should know the history of what you do and where it came from, even roughly. But if you don't know nothing, but you say you love it, you're kind of going out. 5, Becoming the Black Belt by Roy Dean. Such a book. Such a great book. I think it's good because it humanizes what it means to achieve your black belt, and you get to see what an uneven journey it is. I think once somebody is a black belt, people think, "Oh, this guy was just amazing." Blah, blah. You have no idea what happens in their personal life. You have no idea physical ailments. You have no idea, what happens inside schools and how that affects how you train or how you see yourself and what's going on in your job and your love life and all this other stuff. Roy Dean's book is incredible, right? Now, if we're talking about technique and a little bit of sprinkling of culture, right? Jiu-Jitsu University. If you don't have that book, you're tripping, like big time, losing out a lot, big time. There's a lot of stuff I was doing based off that book before it became popular online, simply because I had the will to sit still and read and go frame 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, I'm going back to class, right? You're not going to get all this stuff off the internet. Now this book is not, that's number 6, Jiu-Jitsu University. Number 7, On Violence by Sergeant Rory Miller. This is for every jiu-jitsu player. Every jiu-jitsu player needs this book. And if I'm really honest, I don't think Rory Miller even does jiu-jitsu per se. He's like a tactics guy and everything, but he really helps people understand the full spectrum of violence between two adult males and what can happen. And one of the main reasons you see jiu-jitsu people, like I saw this guy a few weeks ago doing jiu-jitsu, fighting at a house party. Bro's trying to do the armbar, gets picked up and dropped straight on his neck. Bow! And he pretty much had the armbar, but he didn't have the armbar for the street. Do you know the difference between an armbar and a closed guard with the gis on, the armbar and the closed guard with the gi off, and the armbar with the closed guard from the streets when they're trying to pick you up and dump you on your neck? Do you really understand how dangerous that can be if you don't know how, or a triangle choke? Bro, On Violence, Sergeant Rory Miller. Do not sleep. I'm serious. Don't sleep on that book. And now, just to really, I'm going to start getting mad if I talk about it too much. The Tao of Jeet Kune Do by Bruce Lee. The Tao of Jeet Kune Do by Bruce Lee. The rise of the UFC, the rise of ADCC, the rise of so much that happens in modern martial arts is because of Bruce Lee. If you think he's just an actor, that's fine. You can read the book from the other list I just posted on Jeff Chang and learn better. But I'm trying to tell you, the Tao of Jeet Kune Do is an absolute masterpiece, and you need to read it, period, especially as a jiu-jitsu person. Again, connecting it to this number 7 book, Rory Miller, like you need to understand jiu-jitsu in the gi and beyond it, period. When I started learning under Half, right? Like how many kinds of jiu-jitsu are there, right? There's in the gi, the sport, there's no gi, right? There's self-defense, right? There's cage fighting, right? Those 4 right there, that's an infinite lifetime of study. And you'd be lucky to really master one, but you got to know all the different phases of potential combat, and you got to understand how to adapt your jiu-jitsu to that phase. Or like, it's fine if you don't, but then don't complain if you get housed. It's fine if you don't, but then don't complain if you get mollywopped on the sidewalk and people are talking about, I thought you was a blue belt though. You train with who? That was my nightmare. Still is. So take yourself seriously, pick up Bruce Lee's book and read it. And then a really good book about mindset, man, right? The Fighter's Mind by Sam Sheridan. He wrote another book called The Fighter's Heart, which I haven't read, but I only heard really good things about. But The Fighter's Mind, gold. Gold. And then finally, drum roll, please. Oh my God. Warrior Mindset. The Tao of a Champion by Roger Gracie. I love this book. I was gonna buy a physical copy that they had signed in the school. But then I got super excited and I had to rush out though, so I didn't do it. And so I bought it on Audible. Let me also say, assuming I think most of these books are going to be on Audible. I don't know about Rory Miller. I don't know about Bruce Lee. But I think, and definitely not like Jiu-Jitsu University, but like I think all these other ones are on Audible. I used to kind of frown on Audible. I used to consider like I used to listen to a book on Audible and be like, oh, I didn't really read it though, blah blah blah. And I saw some studies that said like if you listen to an audiobook, your brain pretty much takes it in the same, right? Now I am still a fan of the physical book, still a fan. Um, but you know, however you get the wisdom is however you get it. We all have different ways of learning. Some people learn by doing, some people learn by reading, some people learn by observing, right? And so if you don't know the mode with which you learn best, then it won't matter. But like Audible is legit. And I'll also say if you can get the audiobook by rogue means, do it. Do it. Anyway, these are my books. I hope if you know somebody who loves jujitsu or you do jujitsu yourself, right, that you get these books and you take yourself seriously. And I'm going to challenge you in this moment to read one book a month, jujitsu or not. As a man in this world, you should be pursuing wisdom consistently. One book a month. Don't tell me you ain't got that time at all, because I can't accept it when so many of you are binge watching whatever over and over again. I can't accept it when you don't have that time, but you're gaming and gaming and gaming. I can't accept it, but you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. I can't accept it. And you shouldn't accept it from yourself. A book a month. When I was young, I had signed a deal to do a book called Chicken Soup for the Hip Hop Soul with Jack Canfield. This is a true story. Jack Canfield was one of the co-founders of Chicken Soup for the Soul, and me, DJ Vlad, and my boy Kyle, DJ Cool Kyle, were working on this book. It got torpedoed later by Mark Victor Hansen, and the book didn't happen. But I had stories by Gangstar, Guru. I got stories by Shorino Mas. I still got all those original. Man, I should drop those joints. You know what? I might drop those joints in the paid subscription. Don't get me started. Anyway, I was at Jack Canfield's mansion, and it was a true mansion. You know how people be like, "It got a mansion." Non-player. Jack got that mansion. So I get up this one morning, I'm looking for him. I'm like, where's Jack at? His wife was like, oh, he's by the pool. There's a little pool house thing. Go over there. So I'm walking around, chandeliers, all kind of crazy. Okay, great. So I find him and he's sitting in this room by the pool house. And the room is, medium size. It's like, we'll call it the size of a bigger than a walk-in closet, but not quite a bedroom. It's the best way I can describe it. He's sitting at a desk and wall, all books. And I'm like, hey, good morning, man. How you doing? He's like, oh, hey, how you doing? I'm like, chilling. What are you doing? He's like, reading. I'm like, okay, cool. What are you reading? He told me, I don't remember. But I'll tell you what I do remember. I said, do you read a lot? He said, Adisa, let me tell you, when I am not writing for my own books and, working on them, doing the promotions, whatever, I read a book every day. I said, what? A book a day. Now, at that time, there was a guy named Haki Madhubuti, who created Third World Press, and he had a bunch of different books. I could tell you about his anything he wrote, you should get, especially if you're black. But I'll tell you what he said. He said every black man in America should be reading at least one book a month and hold to that. And when I did that, I was in a tear. If anybody remembers me from 1991 to like 95, I was pretty much on a book a month, on fire. Talk to them, ask about me. They'll be like, that fool was on fire. dropping knowledge, wisdom, and understanding on a regular. Knowledge of self embedded. My point is that when Jack told me that he read a book a day, I remember looking at him and it was almost as if time stopped. And I was like, the psychological, mental, and spiritual advantage of a human being who walks into the room and reads a book a day, and you don't compare to him. You do not compare to that person. So at the very least, I can still stick to a book a month. And I started thinking about that a few months ago, and I've been really kind of steady getting back into my knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And you need it too. If you don't think in these crazy ass times you don't need a book a month, and you might, oh, well, I don't want to read about jujitsu. I don't read about stoicism. Read anything. Who cares? Read. The advantage that the reader has over the non-reader is not comparable. It's not. It's not. So that's my list. If you want my PDF, hit me up on IG. I'll send you the link. Share it with your homies. Start from page 66 if you're about that real life and jiu-jitsu. And if you're about chess or you want to see some really incredible old school interviews on hip hop, you know where to go, player. Holla at a scholar. You know how we do. West Side Worldwide. And I'm gone. Peace to the planet. West Side. Peace.